how to write a research article on effective manner. So today we will discuss about how to write a research article in effective manner. Before going to the actual content, I am introducing myself Dr. Venkatesh, right. So today I am welcome you all for we will learn in this session how to write a research article, right. So now before going to the actual video, so we will see the first understanding about a research article, right. So what is the research article, right. So those who are newly started research, for them it will be helpful, right. So previously I uploaded how to read a research article, how to write a research article. So there are some prerequisite is there to understand this video. So before going to the understand today lecture, go to the previous series, then you come to this video, so that you will understand better manner, right. So first one, what is a research article? So we discussed already many times in our previous lecture series, right. So it is a structured academic document. That means that so there will be structure for writing any research article. So that is a research article. That means that it will present the ideas and findings in a systematic, well organized manner. So that means that it will, simply we can say, what is a research article? Research article means simple, it is a structured academic document that will find or present the novel ideas in organized manner. That means that you cannot write something else, like for example, there is a one introduction, then related survey, there will be proposed method, results and conclusion. So there will be some structured manner to write any research article, right. I cannot write like starting background of the research, I cannot start with the conclusion. So that means that there will be some structured format to write a research article. So that is the first point in what is a research article. Then next point, so what is that one? Next one, communication of original research. So that means that it will communicate the original research. That means that someone is already done, that you cannot add as your research work. So you should have some own idea. So that will be the new idea and methods. So someone is done already, so you cannot claim that is my idea. So that means that it will have new idea and are finding to the contribute to the existing knowledge. So that means that someone is already have some knowledge or some method, so we can go for extension for that existing knowledge. So this is also one of the key aspects in the research article. Next, so next point, target the journals and conferences, right. So in a previous lecture we discussed the what is the conference, what is the journal, what is the patent, what is the transaction paper, all those things we already discussed. I don't want to discuss this concept, what is the journal, what is the conference. If you are not watched, please go to the previous my lectures, it was a playlist, so you can watch that one, you can come to the this lecture. So target the journal and conferences. That means that which type of journal you are targeting to publish your research work, whether it is a conference, whether it is a journal. So briefly I will tell you what is a journal, what is a conference. We can say conference you are presenting the some idea, whereas a journal you have shown the evidences also. Evidence you have to show and you have to present. So I hope you understand the three key aspects about what is a research article, right? So next one, we go for the next one, choosing a right journal. So choosing a right journal is a one of the key aspects before writing any research article. So what are the major factors influencing the choosing the right journal? So this is also good aspect to publish any paper, right? First one, match the scope and audience. So that means that, for example, you take the any journal. For example, you take the supercomputer journal, super computing journal you can take. So this journal will concentrate on more concentration on computing, more concentrating on computing, like high performance computing, parallel computing, like such kind of things it will concentrate. This scope will be computing oriented. This supercomputing journal is a computing oriented. So that will comes under as a, we call it as a scope of a journal. That means that some mathematics journals is there. If you submit the journal with computer science, they will not accept. So because they will say simply this is a out of the scope. So that's why we have to think about the scope of the journal before submitting to the your research article. So that one more point, this should match with the your audience also. That means that, for example, you are the computer science research scholar. You want to submit in a mathematics, they never accept because of audience is different. Mathematics people are different and computer science people are different. So these two points you need to consider before submitting to the any journal, that is the match the scope and audience. So I request you, every scholar, check the scope of the journal before submitting. So every journal there will be scope also. Scope will be written into the journal website. You have to go through that one, then you may submit. So some coming videos we will discuss in a practical way how to submit the paper in a better manner, like how to choose the journal scope and how to follow the guidelines of the journal. All these things we will discuss, right? So next, check the impact factor and indexing, right? So impact factor is one of the journal metrics. It indicates the quality of the journal. So what is the indexing? Indexing means it is a like a scopus. Scopus is a one indexing, right? SCA is a one index, ESCA is a one index, ESCI is a one indexing. So this is the type of indexing where it is indexing. So SCI is a highest quality indexing, Scopus is a little less, ESI is also little less as compared to the SCI. So we have to check the submission of journal indexing before submit to the your research paper. So that means that, for example, your paper is good quality is there, you are written very well in a well structured organized manner. If you are submitting into the Scopus paper, the contribution of your research will be less impact, right? So that's what I am suggesting you to check the journal indexing before submission. So it will be available in the journal website. You may go to that one. I will show in a coming lecture series also. Next one. After that one, you have to check the one more point, review the author guidelines. So that means that you have to thoroughly know about the guidelines of the author which is given by the journal. If you go to the any journal, there will be some author guidelines. In author guidelines, that means that there they will mention what is the font style should be there, what is the title should be there. That means that what is the style of the title, how the images will be described, how the table will be described in a paper. Like that they will be mentioned each and everything in a author guideline section. So before that submission you have to check it. So you may get, sir, if I don't follow the author guidelines, simply they will send back to the author until unless they will address the guidelines of the author, they will not process your journal. So this we call it as a simple desk rejection. Okay. So next we will go to the actual content of the paper. So what is the first write, you have to write the title of the paper. So these are the structure of the any research article. So we will discuss one by one in detailed manner. So first we will discuss the title. So title means it is a name of the research article. We should write in a manner precise and concise. You should not write lengthy titles, and should not be like ambiguous sentences should not be used. Should be very clear and concise way you have to write a title. Right. Next one, abstract. So abstract means we can say what you have done in the paper. So that will tell you the abstract. Simple way, as per my understanding, abstract means what is the entire work. Entire work will be described in a abstract with, as usually it will be 250 words. 250 words they will written. So in that one there will be five parts. First one is a introduction part, that means that why they are writing this paper. Next one, research gap. Next one, how the research gap is addressed, that is methodology, right. Fourth one, they written after methodology they written discussion. Fifth one, they write the conclusion. So these are the 5 parts which are available in the abstract section. So these 5 parts should be there when you are writing any paper. So first one I am repeating again: introduction section, research gap section, and methodology section, and discussion section, conclusion. So these are the 5 things should be there in any abstracts. So if you read the any standard paper, you will come to know how these things are written. So next one is introduction. So we will discuss introduction, methodology, results, discussion, conclusion in coming slides. So we will discuss first introduction. So introduction, there will be 3 categories like background and motivation, research gaps, and objectives and contribution. So in a background and motivation, what you have to discuss, what is the background of the problem, right. For example, you are solving the image classification. So what is the background of the image classification, right. That you have to write in a introduction section, background and motivation section. What is the motivation? That means that you are writing a particular research article. Why you are writing? What is the basic motivation to write such a research article? So that you have to write in a section of background and motivation section. That should be write in a context of problem context. You should not be write some other context. Like for example, image classification means you have to discuss about only image classification. You should not discuss about some other categories which comes under the classification. You may write little, but you cannot write. It should be indirectly related to the image classification. That kind of things only you have to write. You should not write something irrelevant concept. Next one, research gap. So we discussed in the last class what is a research gap also. If you haven't watched that video, you may watch what is a research gap also. Research gap means we can say clearly identify the limitation or unsolved issues in existing studies. So that means that simple I can say there will be some unsolved problems in existing work, right. So that we can say it is a research gaps that should be discussed in the introductory section. You have to write the briefly what is the research gaps. Next one is objective and contribution. So objective and contribution means what is the objective of your paper. So what is the objective of your paper, you have to write it. So next, what is the contribution? So that means that you have some objective 1 and objective 2. For example, in a paper objective 1, objective 2 is you written 2 objective list 1, 2, objective 1, objective 2. So to solve these objectives, what is your contribution? That should be mentioned into the contribution section. So I hope you understand what is the necessity of requirement of introduction section and what should be the part should be there in the introduction section. So next we will discuss about methodology and result section, right. So in a methodology result section there will be 4 categories. First one is data and materials used, right. So in a data and materials used, in a data you have to describe the data sets. So it not necessary data set. For example, if you take the machine learning, deep learning, it will be the data sets will be present, right. For example, you are taking cryptography or encryption, some kind of stuff will be there. There is no such kind of data sets are available. So you have to discuss there what type of data which you are using in a research article. So what is the where you are collected data, how you are pre-process the data. So those kind of stuffs you have to use it into the this area. So that we can say it is a described about data sets, right. So next one, tools, materials. So we have to discuss the tools and materials also. What type of tools you use. For example, if you are using a computer vision concepts, so what kind of libraries you are using, what type of hardware you use, what kind of software you use. So that all these things comes under resources and tools and materials problem. So I hope you understand what is the data and materials used. Next one is experimental setup. So in that section we have to explain the methodology, system configuration, parameter, procedure followed in the experiments. So that means that in this section we have to use the what type of method you used, like in a manner, like for example, just I am telling, if you are using VGG 16 neural network architecture, we have to explain about VGG 16 neural network architecture and what type of system you used for implementing this VGG 16. So system configuration like Windows 10, like Ubuntu system, something like that. So that is related to the system configuration. Parameters, what type of parameters used. Parameters means there will be like epochs, right. So like epochs and what type of classification function use, etc. It will be comes under parameters. Or example, if you take the civil engineering categories, what type of parameters will comes under. For example, civil engineering, civil people like what is the length of a beam, right. What is the type of soil, what is the temperature, what is the humidity, those kind of things we should be discussing parameters. So procedure means what type of procedure have been used for experimenting that task, simply we can say, right. So there will be some standard procedure. For example, if your image is classifying, there will be any standard mechanism is there, have been followed the standard procedure, or different procedure have been followed, or same, or if you are following any innovation method, that things we have to discuss into the procedure section. Next, clear tables and figures. So present say you got some results in an experiment, after that you have to present in a manner of well labeled tables and figures for understanding, right. So tables and figures you have to use tables in a form of like journal guidelines, you have to use in a form of rows and columns. I hope it is not no need to discuss what is a table, and figures also you can discuss. As per my suggestion, figure should be above 300 dpi. So dpi indicates the clarity of the picture, right. For example, some people use for example, they may use some novel research scholars or young research scholars. What they will use, after getting a result, they will cut the screenshot and they will paste it into the research article. You may post, but problem is that their clarity will damage. Okay, So don't do such a kind of activity. You save the image in minimum 300 dpi, above 300, so it will be clarity will be good, so that you can directly import those image into the your research article. Clarity will be improved. So you may get one doubt, sir, if I don't use, what will happen? If you don't use also, your paper will get accept also. At the end of publication side, publisher will not publish you until unless that images improve the quality. So better to use the above 300 dpi before the submitting to the journal. Next, avoid interpretations, like, so report the result in objectively without analyzing or concluding, which should be discussed later. So report your result objectively. So whatever objective we discussed in a previously, that objective should be met. So it should not be like analysis and conclusion should not be written in this section. I hope you understand the how methodology and result should be presented. Next we will go for the discussion and conclusion. So next we have to interpret the results in a discussion section, right? So here you have to explain the significance of obtained results. So you may get some results, right? So what is the significance of those results? Why you explain in a manner? So why can't you explain some other manner? So and in a relation to the research objective. You should not explain like some results you presented, but there is no relation between your objective and results. It shouldn't be like that. It should be like whatever the objective you are presented in a research paper, the result should be match. It should be related. It should not be like not related. Results should not be discussed. So these are the some of the things we should keep in your mind when writing the paper. Next one, compare with the existing work. So that means that you are proposing the model 1. You are proposing model 1. So there will be some model 2. Just I am giving example. It not necessarily like that. Model 2, model 3. So just I am giving one example. So just try to follow. You are introduce the new problem like in a image classification. Let it be as. So you are presenting the model M, which is your model, novel model. So you have to compare the previous models, which is M2 and M3, which are already existing in the state of art. State of art models will be there. Na? So that models you have to compare. That means that, for example, if your model is got 98%. So if you are comparing this with existing model M2 and M3, what about these models? So you have to compare with respect to M2 and M3 model, which are state of model. Then you have to prove that your model is better. Otherwise, there is no need of writing a novel article, right? For example, simple I will say you have image classification will take existing model obtain the 98% accuracy. Your model also getting 98%. So what is the innovation in that? So that type of innovation research community will never agree. So you should have some improvement in that. That should be with respect to the previous model. So then only that it will acceptable. Otherwise it is not accepted. Right. So compare your finding with previous published studies. So that means that you have to compare the previous model which are already paper are published. So at the end you have to highlight the improvements and differences. You have to highlight the what is the innovation, what is the difference between the those system existing system, your system, right? So at the end you have to write the limitations and future scope. So every model will have some limitations, some environment it may not be perform well. So for that area you should not avoid, should not hide, you should disclose the everything what is the limitations. For example, some model is not performing in some environment, so you have to discuss that also. Next one is future scope. In a future scope we have to discuss what is the improvements you can be incorporated in the existing model, so that it will be improved in a future. So this is the future scope of the paper. So next one at the end, so we didn't discuss the conclusion. So conclusion means, in a conclusion you have to write what is the overall work done in a simple manner, right? So that is the conclusion. So simple, I can say, for example, your model got 98%, right? So in a conclusion you have to discuss, if it is 98% got, so what? So what is the benefit? What is the objective? What is the benefit to the society? That kind of things we have to discuss in a briefly in a conclusion section along with your work. So I hope you understand the conclusion also. Next, references and ethics. So at the end of every paper you might see in the references of a paper. That means that where your contribution comes into the picture. That means that you might read some papers for doing experimentation. So that will comes under reference section. You have to write. So there will be different citation format, that APA format, IEEE format, MLA format. So depends on the journal guidelines, you may use the any of the one reference style, right? Next, avoid plagiarism. So what is a plagiarism? It is simply similarity report. Someone is written some article, just you copy paste it. It doesn't mean that it is not a novel article. So that's why you should avoid the plagiarism. If it is want to use the same meaning sentences, you should not write same as it was there. Should not copy paste. Or write in your own way. So that is the original research. So we have to paraphrase the properly to avoid the plagiarism. There will be some quoted sources, that also you can check, and before submitting to the journal you can check the similarity report. So as per journal standards, similarity report for journal is less than 10%. Similarity report for journal conferences, it is a 15%. Less than 15% similarity is acceptable, that excluding the references, right? So now so you can the next one, follow the ethical guidelines. So that means that if you are using someone else figure in your paper, or if you are using someone else equation in your paper which are previously authors are written, so you have to cite the properly. So that means that how does the research ethics. So that is the main one of the exam. Include the data usage. For example, if you are using someone else data for your experimentation, so that you have to include that kind of ethics. So authorship norms and consent of requirements, right? So that means that if someone use the someone else images or equation, so you have to take permission for before using from the authors. So that kind of permission you have to obtain, then you can include into the your paper. So these are the ethical standards, right? So next, if you are submitting to the any journal or conference, you have to checklist. So first one is proofread and format. So that means that you have to read thoroughly 2 or 3 times to check, make sure that there is no grammatical mistake, there is no font or there is no alignment, there is no justification, such kind of things you have to make sure that everything is pakka. Then next, format means whether it is a following the standard guidelines. So language standards, that is one of the examples. Standard guidelines, that means that whether it is a journal guidelines, given guidelines is following or not. Make sure that table is having some specific guidelines and image is having some specific guidelines, text is some image some specific guidelines, abstract is some specific guidelines will be given in the every journal. So you have to follow the all these things before submitting to the journal. Next one is check originality. So that means that when you are presenting the data, whether it is original data or not. So if you are using some other data, you have to make sure that it should be the original. So that means that you may check the plagiarism detection tools for before submission. You have to check the similarity report for before submitting to the paper. That means that whether it is a similarity report is in a less than 10% or not. If it is more than that, you have to reduce to the less than that, less than 10%. So follow the journal checklist. So that means that when you are submitting to the journal usually will have manuscript, and next one is a title page, and the next one is that will be like editorial page, something will be there. So it is not compulsory that should have 3. Some journals will have, we will want only manuscript. Some journal wants along with these 2, title page and manuscript. Some journals will have these 3. So depends on the journal guidelines, they will ask. Some journals will ask like specific blinded review. So blinded review, they will ask some additional requirements like should be present your abstract or something like that. So that means that before submitting to the journal, check the checklist. You have to check the checklist what is the journal is asking. So all these things you have to check it before submitting to the journal. Okay. So now you reached from starting to the till end of the today presentation. So that means that when you are starting from abstract to the, we are starting from abstract to the conclusion of the research article. So now hope everyone enjoyed this session. Thanks for watching. If you are like the my content, share to the your community and needy people. Please subscribe my channel if you like. Thanks for watching again.